In the shadow of history, few names have carried as much fear, mystery, and controversy as Osama bin Laden. To some, he was a freedom fighter. To others, he was the embodiment of evil itself. The mastermind behind the September 11th attacks, the man who defied the world's greatest military power, and the most wanted fugitive on Earth for nearly a decade. But behind the headlines and the terror, there was a man with a complex past, a life full of contradictions, secrets, and shocking truths that shaped the path he chose. How did a boy born into unimaginable wealth transform into the leader of one of the deadliest organizations in history? How did a civil engineering graduate become the face of global terror? And why do so many questions about his life, and even his death, remain unanswered to this day? This is the story of Osama bin Laden, from privilege to paranoia, from empire to exile, and finally, to the night the world believed it ended. A prince of wealth turned to war. Osama bin Laden was not born into poverty or oppression, but into a family of immense wealth. His father, Mohammed bin Laden, was the founder of the Saudi Bin Laden Group, one of the largest construction companies in the Middle East. With billions of dollars in contracts tied directly to the Saudi royal family, the bin Laden empire rose as a symbol of modern development. Osama, one of more than 50 children, inherited not just money but influence. He studied civil engineering, learning the skills of design and construction that he would later repurpose, not for skyscrapers or highways, but for bunkers, caves, and fortresses in the mountains of Afghanistan. Instead of following his father's path of business and luxury, he turned toward religion, war, and ideology. His wealth gave him the power to act. His education gave him the knowledge to build. Together, they made him dangerous. The roots of his hatred for America. Why did Osama bin Laden despise the United States so deeply? The answer lies in three core grievances. First, he saw the presence of American troops in Saudi Arabia, the land of Islam's two holiest sites, Mecca and Medina, as a desecration of sacred soil. For him, it was not just politics, it was a spiritual violation. Second, he could not accept America's unwavering support for Israel. In his eyes, this meant the U.S. was directly responsible for the suffering of Palestinians, and every Palestinian child killed or displaced fueled his rage further. Third, bin Laden hated Western culture itself. He believed that American values, freedom, entertainment, secularism, were poisoning Muslim societies, eroding faith, and corrupting the morals of the next generation. To him, America was not simply a foreign power, it was a disease infecting the world of Islam. The shocking hidden vice. Despite his strict religious preaching, bin Laden's life held a bizarre and disturbing contradiction. After the U.S. raid on his Abbottabad compound in 2011, investigators uncovered a massive stash of pornography. Reports even suggested he had a particular interest in Japanese animated pornography and retro adult video games. For a man who condemned Western immorality, this secret hobby revealed a darker hypocrisy, proof that even those who portray themselves as pure are often not what they claim to be. Some even speculate that the files may have been used as coded communication with his network. Whatever the case, this hidden vice shocked the world and painted bin Laden as not just a terrorist mastermind, but also a deeply flawed and contradictory human being. The CIA's unintentional ally. One of the greatest ironies of history is that during the 1980s, bin Laden indirectly benefited from the support of the CIA. At the time, the Cold War raged on, and America's greatest enemy was the Soviet Union. When the Soviets invaded Afghanistan, the U.S. poured billions into arming and training the Mujahideen fighters. Bin Laden was not directly funded by the CIA, but he operated within those networks, using the very weapons and tactics that American dollars helped provide. Together, they fought against the Soviet occupation, and when the war ended, bin Laden had gained not only battlefield experience but also a global network of hardened fighters loyal to him. The United States had unknowingly helped shape the monster that would one day turn against them. The birth of Al-Qaeda. By 1988, bin Laden had a new vision. He founded Al-Qaeda, an organization not limited to Afghanistan but dedicated to global jihad. His goal was no longer just to fight local battles. It was to unite Muslims worldwide in a holy war against what he saw as corrupt regimes and their Western allies. Al-Qaeda became more than a group. It became an ideology, a banner under which extremists could rally. Bin Laden's charisma and wealth drew men to his cause, and his speeches painted a picture of a new caliphate that could restore Islamic power. But behind the lofty rhetoric lay a blueprint for violence that would shake the world. His complex family life. Osama bin Laden's personal life was as complicated as his public one. He married at least 5 women and fathered around 20 children. Some of his wives were highly educated, even holding PhDs, which surprised many who assumed his circle would be uneducated. His children lived scattered lives, moving from country to country, often in hiding, never knowing stability. While bin Laden waged war on the outside world, inside his home he maintained strict rules, forcing his family to follow his extreme beliefs. To some of his children, he was a distant, terrifying figure more than a father. The manhunt and his death. For 10 long years after the 9th of November, the U.S. and its allies hunted bin Laden. Rumors of his whereabouts spread. The mountains of Tora Bora, the caves of Afghanistan, the deserts of Pakistan. In reality, he was hiding in plain sight in a large compound in Abbottabad, just a short distance from Pakistan's military academy. The breakthrough came when U.S. intelligence tracked one of his trusted couriers. In May 2011, Navy SEAL Team 6 launched a daring nighttime raid. After a brief firefight, bin Laden was shot and killed. His body was identified through DNA and facial recognition. For millions around the world, the news brought relief. For others, it brought more questions. Burial at sea. Bin Laden's body was not returned to his family. Instead, U.S. officials chose to bury him at sea within 24 hours, following Islamic burial traditions but also preventing his grave from becoming a shrine for extremists. A short ceremony was held aboard the USS Carl Vinson before his body was lowered into the Arabian Sea. But this decision sparked controversy. With no physical grave and no public images of his body released, conspiracy theories quickly spread. 9. Did he really die? To this day, many question the official account of bin Laden's death. Skeptics argue that without photographic evidence or independent witnesses, there is no undeniable proof. Some believe he had died years earlier, and the raid was staged for political reasons. Others claim he was secretly captured. Inconsistencies in official reports only fueled the fire. Whether fact or fiction, these theories keep bin Laden's shadow alive, long after his supposed death. Osama bin Laden's story is one of wealth and war, hypocrisy and conviction, faith and fanaticism. He was a son of privilege who turned his inheritance into a weapon, a student who became a warlord, a man who shaped the world through fear and violence. And even in death, his legacy continues to haunt global politics and inspire debates about truth, power, and secrecy. His name may be gone from the headlines, but his shadow still lingers in history, dark, controversial, and unforgettable.